Welcome to the court. This is Acker at Basketball.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Accurate Basketball Podcast. You're here with your number one duo when it comes to anything ASUN men's college basketball. I'm your co-host, Curtis D. Acker.
I'm your co-host, Mark Acker, father and son.
Yes.
Son and father. So this week we're going to get into, like we did last week a little bit, team-by-team breakdown of what was, what's coming up. It's getting into holiday time, so that means holiday tournaments.
Yes.
A couple of them getting started here.
Woo, baby. Yeah. So for episode 15, that's what we're going to be breaking down is what just happened this past week here, and now what's going to come up into our opening day, or opening early season tournament. Excuse me.
That's
I almost
what I
said
said.
opening day. Why did I say opening day? That's not what happened. But we're going to go alphabetical top to bottom this week rather than going in reverse order like we did last week.
Right.
Starting off with the Austin Peay Governors. They did have a 69-63 victory over UNC Greensboro. And then Colin Parker had a 22-point game, 9 rebounds, and also had 5 assists in that one.
He was the boss in that game.
Yes, he
Really
was.
was.
And then Austin Peay also ended up losing to Ole Miss. This was a game I projected an upset. It was close, but wasn't able to pull it out. Zaire Collins with 17 points, 4 boards, 7 assists in that one. He's the real deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's sneaky, I guess, on offense, but very smart, beyond his age.
Scores from all 3 levels.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, he gets into trees, 3 of them there. Just next thing you know, the ball's through the hoop.
Yes.
It's incredible how he does
We
it.
had a Freshman Friday
Consistent.
on him recently. Go ahead, go check that out. You can find on our Instagram and on our YouTube shorts here. But yeah, no, currently sitting at 4th in the country with 13 steals per game.
Yeah.
Right now, the team is getting it done defensively, which is no shock given Coach Gibson's history.
Yeah, totally. And they're also low shooting percentage against, also defensively. Again, and to me, it's sneaky. I mean, watching them play, I don't necessarily see a dominating, like, shut down defense, but the stats don't lie.
Right,
At
right.
all. There's a cliche. That's one. Ding. Yeah, and they're doing it with a good balance of players, right? They're kind of that are from a playing time perspective, getting contributions from their holdover players, or getting contributions from the new players, kind of all over the place. Like
Right.
you said, Parker.
My concern's the 3 ball though.
Yeah.
You know, they only shot over 30% in other than against a D1 opponent. Let me phrase it that way. Other than against Bryan.
Sure.
30% from beyond the arc once. That was in their win against Air Force.
True.
They got to get that 3 ball going. I feel like they're taking it, and it's just not really falling for them.
I was going to say that. Yeah, the looks are there. They looks like they're open looks. They're driving. They're kicking. Maybe even one extra pass. They're not falling. Actually, I was checking Tate McCubbin. There's probably their at least preseason star from an offensive perspective. He's right on pace with what he was last year in terms of shots taken. A little ahead of that. So an improvement. He's also improved in assists this year.
Right.
Like, he's really seeing the.
Well, they
floor
are
aspect.
splitting the rock really, really, really well.
They are. Yeah.
But yeah, no, those are my concerns heading for them upcoming here.
I think it's a small concern. Yeah, right. If there's got to find something, that would be the area.
That would be the one.
What do we got coming up
Yes.
for them this week?
Well, we got Tulsa is who they're going to play against. Tulsa's currently 3-1, and then Northern Illinois 2-3. The first one, AP's traveling, and then the second one they're going to be playing at home.
Right.
So for me, I'm going 1-1 as a prediction for them this week. What do you think?
I'm also at 1-1.
Okay.
I kind of went. I think Tulsa and Northern Illinois present similar challenges. They both can shoot it. They both can score.
Right.
Versus what Austin Peay can do. So I kind of just went home court advantage. It's
Okay.
kind of a lame way to do it, but that was kind of my where I ended.
All right, nice.
How about
nice.
yourself?
So we're gonna be, or at least on my end, I'm gonna be providing. I was a little disappointed in my analytical skill from last week when it came to the upcoming games. More just kind of making random predictions. So I'm gonna be diving deep into those for you guys this week. But Austin Peay's already proven that they can be a defensive team like Rhode Island. I think their high-fire offense at 88 points per game will overpower Austin Peay's defense. Rhode Island is 12th in the country with 12 steals per game. They did only have 8 against Tulsa. Right. So that's just another point I think proves Tulsa's going to be able to overtake this Austin Peay team. On the other hand, though, NIU, Northern Illinois, the Huskies, they're 18th in the country when it comes to three-point percentage, which is 41.7%, taking almost 10 a game. Austin Peay, however, holds opponents to 27.6% from beyond the arc. Yeah. I foresee that team losing the 3-ball against Austin Peay when they come and play in F&M Bank Arena. Yeah. And I think that ends up being a dub at home for Austin Peay and the Governors. 1-1 week.
Right.
Moving into Bellarmine. So, recap of their results. They're currently sitting at 1-4. We did see them lose to Wofford 94-86. Also lost to Notre Dame 86-79. Brian Waddell, fantastic games in each of them. He took our transfer Thursday home with him. Same thing. You can go check out those shorts and leave a like, comment. Make sure to share them with a friend as well. 23 points and 18 points in each game, respectively, for Waddell here. 6 and 5 in rebounds. 2 assists the night against Wofford. 2 steals the night against Notre Dame. Concern here, though, they've got down 21 points in both of these games here. Had to fight back. Ended up getting it within 10 digits. Within 10 digits. But
10 points.
My concern is that are teams sort of letting you back into games because you're so far out of them?
Right. Well, they don't quit.
Yes,
so to their
and that's
testament,
another
they don't
point.
quit.
Yes.
Why are they falling behind? It's defensive end. Again, there's a lot. You'll see this theme, I think, for today. A lot of teams are really struggling against dribble drive and against switching offenses, or when you switch from on a defensive end, they're getting mismatched, getting blown by, and getting a lot of inside baskets. And I think that's Bellarmine's is susceptible as one of the many teams in that scenario.
Well, and we were just talking about earlier today, as you mentioned, like teams are getting mismatched, especially on the A-Sun and in the interior. Yeah. The A-Sun really can't offer really more than one big out there. Sometimes, like Jack Karazinski, I wouldn't really consider him a traditional big. Right. He's more of I would say a 4 or a 3. Right. Who's playing the 5 because of the necessity at the position. Right. And but I'm still very confident in, as you said, the grit that they have. Still very confident in that as they look forward here. Yep. Going to be going up against the Citadel, the Bulldogs, 2-3 team, and then also going up against 2-1 Houston Christian. That's going to be in Charleston. I've got them going 1-1 this week. How about you?
So I want to mention, too, before I get into my prediction.
Oh, okay.
Jacob Wassler missed both games this week, 6'10" freshman. So there's a big loss in the defensive end there. An energy guy. He had 10 points his first game, 10 rebounds the second game. He kind of out of nowhere.
And he's the only traditional big they really have on their team.
Yeah, so I think there was a gap that was part of it as well.
Yeah, great point there before we get into the predictions.
Yeah, so but I have him. I'm borderline man crush on Bellarmine right now. I just enjoy the way they attack, the way they get on the floor. So, anyways, I got them going 2-0 this week.
Okay. So, any particular reason as to why? Just because of that attack and that grit that they've had?
Yes, they're fighting. They're playing the right way. They're closing out properly. They're not over when they close out or defend a shot. They're not overdoing it. So they're not taking themselves out of defensive position. Balls are just going to start falling their way because they're playing the right way. That's my belief on them. That's why I went 2-0. I think the matchups are beatable matchups too. It wasn't like 2-0 regardless of who they're playing. I just think they're
okay. So it was matchup dependent.
There was some matchups helped with that. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Well, I was basing mine a lot off of who these kind of other teams have played. So I thought in preseason Bellarmine's roster was better than West Georgia's, who were able to beat the Citadel this past week.
Yes. Yep.
The Bulldogs also have only been able to beat non-Division I teams so far in that 2-3 record. Yep. Bellarmine has played a very, very, very tough non-conference schedule to open up the season here. I would say that if this does get into a 3-point shootout, that's when the Citadel is going to take over. They're going to get the win in this game, but I do have a win for the Knights here in this first game.
Okay.
Yep. Then, for this second game as well, I do have a loss to this one. Their only loss that Houston Christian has is to UC San Diego, who's currently 4-0.
Right.
But it's not just that. They got out-rebounded, out-assisted, and out-stolen in that game. Only shot 5 of 14 from the charity stripe in that game as well. I'm talking about Houston Christian here.
Yeah. Yep.
And they only gave up 5 offensive rebounds, by the way, in that one, which was a little strange that they still lost given that stat.
Yeah, it is a bit strange.
But
right?
Houston Christian solved that problem, the free throw shooting problem, the next game. They shot 8 of 10 from the line.
Yep.
And as well, they also are currently projected. They average more rebounds, assists, and steals. Steals only by 0.5 to the Knights, but and at that point, I'm giving Bellarmine the L based on that. I think they're going to get out-assisted, out-rebound. As I said, that was the only game that they lost.
Yep.
That appeared to be on the stat sheet, the reason why Houston Christian lost. If Bellarmine's not able to outperform them in those categories, I got to give it to the Huskies.
Gotcha. One thing for me, why I have Bellarmine win in that game, Houston Christian isn't a high-scoring team. So to me, that maybe negates a little bit of the concern that we expressed earlier about Bellarmine's ability to stop the scoring. Haven't seen Houston Christian play, so the style of game that they play, how they break down.
You saw him play?
No, I haven't seen
haven't seen it.
So I can't speak to that.
Right.
But just looking at their actual overall scoring, it's fairly low. So
right.
I can see a Bellarmine outscoring them. They get hot. They go. And I really like how Bellarmine is scoring from. I think they're finding a rotation that's clicking for them. 5, 6, 7 deep. Add Wassler into that 8, and then some role players that could put really 5 solid. All 5 can score all double digits. In fact, that happened against Notre Dame. So
no, great comment there. Exactly. Absolutely, so great analysis.
I think they're starting to find some. Be great to see 1 or 2 more guys fill that role, be a defensive stopper, just deep box out, grab
maybe that's Wassler when he comes back healthy.
Correct, right? Add that element to their game. But yeah, I'm going 2-0.
Nice. Well, we're gonna move into the Central Arkansas Bears, who are currently sitting at 1-4 after their fresh off loss 74-56 to North Texas on Thursday night, which is the time of recording. You guys are seeing this on Friday morning, which I'm making sure to get it out to you Friday morning this week rather than at midnight at the buzzer like last week. Also ended up kind of blowing one, 84-77 in an overtime loss to Samford at home. Yeah. Cameron Hunter led the way for both of these games here, but the team is not shooting well at all. No. It's the team is, and it almost looks like they're living by the 3, dying by the 3. They're not. They're kind of split in the even. Whether they're taking, it's kind of half and half compared to 2 points and 3-pointers here. The shots just aren't falling. No, they look a little out of control. A little when they're shooting, not really wide open looks that often compared to other teams. So I think they're not cohesive. They're getting gritty buckets. Yes, exactly. Yep. They're getting fouled a lot. I believe I don't have the stat. They left a lot of shots at the line. But tonight they left a lot of shots. I think it was 14 is what it was. They left at the line. It's a lot. 14 points. Right, but they're getting to the line. Again, good. There's some good elements to what they're doing. The pretty deep rotation of players on the court. I think they're coachable too. Yes. Let's think about with Samford. They let them back in from the 3 ball. I thought tonight, which you guys, as I said, you guys are seeing this in the morning on Thursday night. I thought they did a much better job of closing out on the 3 ball. Yes. I thought the contest was a lot better on the 3 ball. Yep. Clearly, that message was heard in the locker room. Hey, why did we let the Bulldogs back in and beat us? Well, okay, let's go improve that this next game. Yeah. Unfortunately, it just still, as I said, didn't work out. It's a work in progress at this point. I think is where I'm at with them. Yep. So what do we get for this week? We've got 2 games for both at home. Yes. Playing Eastern Washington 1-4 and playing Eastern Illinois at 2-3. Who do you got? What do you got for record? I'm going 0-2. I think again. To exactly what we just talked about. I think they're both. I think there should be competitive games. I still think what we just broke down there. I think it applies right now. I didn't especially for tonight's game against North Texas. I didn't see that it was a rotation that really took off. What I was talking about with Bellarmine, it seemed like they grabbed a rotation of guys and they were gelling. I didn't see that here, where that group clicked together for this nice run, whatever it might be. I didn't see that. Right. So I think they're still trying to find their way. The synergy between the team. Who's the team? Who's the 5 that you want to run with out there when it's crunch time? Exactly. You're right. Yeah, we haven't seen that out of Central Arkansas yet. Right. You gonna ask me who I want?
Hey,
Well, you
Curtis,
just pointed at me.
Who do
That's
you want?
That's what you meant
What's
by
your
that.
prediction?
I got 1-1.
The Bears.
I got 1-1 for the Bears. Despite being 1-4, don't sleep on this Eastern Washington team here because they are coming off an 80 to let me reframe their losses so far this year. 3 of them. 80-74 loss to UCLA, who beat West Georgia this year by a healthy margin. Although West Georgia did put up a very competitive game for about 30 minutes worth of time.
Correct.
Then an 8-point loss to LMU, who's currently 6-0. Along with that, 102-97 overtime loss to Colorado, another good team. In another loss that they had, the 94-67 loss to Seattle, the Red Hawks are shooting. They didn't in this game, but just overall, they're shooting 54% from the floor, 43% from beyond the arc. Along with that, I just want to mention that's not UCA. UCA has been shooting under 40% from the floor in both categories. I think they might be under 30. I can't remember if they're under 30 or not. And I got the stats pulled up right here. Let me see. Yeah, they're under 30% from beyond the arc as well. That's clearly not a team that I think Eastern Washington is going to lose to. I think Eastern Washington gets the dub by a healthy margin there. Eastern Illinois does not have nearly as efficient of an offense. They're not even scoring over 70 per game.
Right.
If UCA loses to that, kind of like how we were talking about last week jokingly with Lipscomb losing to Bryan, if it's time to hit the panic button after that.
Right.
If UCA loses to Eastern Illinois, I think that's when panic buttons comes in. Yep.
Gotcha.
So I'm going 1-1. That's what we got looking forward here. But let's move into the Eastern Kentucky Colonels.
EKU.
You want to recap last week for them? Oh, 1-3.
1-3 Eastern Kentucky. Who would have predicted that? Maybe going in just on paper of what of Eastern Kentucky. Yeah, last week they played a tough Kent State team. Came up with a loss, 93-78.
I think a lot tougher than teams expected.
They're impressive. They can score. Oh my gosh, can they score all over the court? Everybody can dribble drive. And that's one of the several contributors. Monty, 15 and 8, 2 steals, statistically led the club. I liked some second half of that game. I liked a little bit of fire. I thought that they played with a little extra pace that we hadn't. For me, I hadn't seen. Yeah. I'm a little maybe fine tuning my comment here, but I don't think that they've played to their potential by a long shot.
I agree.
By a long shot so far. I see a lot of staring at each other, and just a little. It's not that toughest 40 kind of thing or fat. The mantra isn't showing
the 40 tough mantra, the most exciting 40 minutes.
The most exciting 40, I guess. Yeah. But anyways, in the game, I love Tyler Jackson's energy he brought in the second half. Got a lot of playing time. He's going to make mistakes. I think he's got to play through them. There's so much. He is a dynamic athlete and a microwave scorer where he can, Vinny Johnson for us old timers, where he can score quickly. And I'd like to see them
Johnson,
do.
That's a good name.
Remember that name? Do you even know what that is?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, he was called the microwave. Played for Detroit. Hopefully I got that right. No. Even made it. I think we saw him make a block on the defensive end. He didn't get statistical credit for it. Turned it into the other end and scored. He just brought a lot of energy. I think is missing from what has been on the court so far. I still have some, and I think he'll help take pressure off of MJ Williams as well. Because he can handle the ball.
Right. So. Well, the team's stacked at guard. They got Juan, Turner Buttrey, MJ Williams, Tyler Jackson. We talked about too many mouths to feed. I don't really think that's the case with this team, though. I think it's just a lack of synergy and understanding who plays what role and where everyone's going to go. Even on the defensive end, like I think you mentioned during the game, there were times that everyone looked at each other like, who was supposed to have that guy?
Their switching is not clicking at this point.
It'll come.
The switching is off.
I'm not giving you credit for that one. No. That was not a good dad joke. Anyways, moving into the upcoming week here. Preview. They're going to play against Mercer, who's currently 2-2. Mercer did end up defeating Lipscomb earlier in the year here. Also going to play against Northern Kentucky. What do you got for this week for Colonels?
I went 1-1. Mercer, I think that it's a win. They're playing at home. EKU is, excuse me.
Yes.
I just picking up, carrying the momentum over from last game, in the second half of last game. I think they're going to roll there. I like that they go through Monty for their offense, but I want to see it turn faster. And I think they hopefully picked up on it a little bit.
I think the offense, I still stand by my statement from last week that the offense is at its most efficient when they kick it inside to Monty and then send a cutter on the outside because Monty's absorbing. We saw it last game during Kent.
Kent too, both games were correct.
Yeah, and against Vanderbilt, obviously, when we were there in person. But against Kent, I literally shouted while we were watching the game. I go, Dad, that's what I'm talking about right there. They kicked it inside to Monty. Two guys come and swarm Monty, and then he ends up kicking it off. But he's also generating a lot of turnovers. That play's not going to work every time. They're gonna teams are going to start to figure that out. They need that secondary level of scoring, which MJ Williams is bringing on some nights. He's not bringing that on every night, though.
But he can't do it exclusively. Again, that's where that secondary scorer like Tyler Jackson, I think, can help a lot. Not that they're not getting other scoring, but like Austin Ball is a fantastic offensive player. He's got a lot of moves. He can really finish strong at the rack too. So, but just they need another a speed element to me. That's, again, I think
and Tyler Jackson might be that piece.
Right, and I have them at a loss against Northern Kentucky. I think they're a little more solid across the board, Northern Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So to the points that we're just talking about the gaps that Eastern Kentucky, until they can close them, I'm gonna err on the side of them. I don't know that they're gonna win. Clean games that they're maybe a fairly evenly matched contest.
Right. No, that's good.
So,
that's
how about
good.
you? What you got?
I got 2-0 for them, but a cautious 2-0 this week for them. So both teams, Mercer and Eastern Kentucky, high-paced offenses. It's going to come down to who's able to make the most shots at the most efficient rates. Mercer does have a better overall field goal percentage, but if you look at all three percentages, 2-point percentages, 3-point percentages, and free throw percentages, I don't know how this doesn't make sense to me, how these numbers come out to the way that they do. But EKU is better and more efficient in all three: the 2-point percentage, 3-point percentage, and the the free throw percentage. So based off of that and my knowledge about, obviously, as I said, they're both high-paced offenses, both scoring over 80 per game.
Yep.
I think that one you got to give it to EKU. Mercer is also able to steal the ball about 10 times per game, but EKU is also used to turning the ball over 3.5 times more than that per game. So they're already used to that turnover ratio. Yes. I mean, I know they haven't gotten wins, but I think they can handle that in order to get the win since they're already used to turning the ball over like that. Northern Kentucky, I think, is going to be a tougher contest than Mercer. Also, like them, when it comes to steals, Northern Kentucky is actually 9th in the country, tied for 9th, with just over 12.
Yep.
2.3 is what it is. Also, along that may sound familiar. Pretty sure that was the exact same number that Austin Peay had. They're also a better shooting team than Mercer, but they turn the ball over 15 times per game, and they also did lose by 12 to ETSU, who just barely came back to beat UNA by 4.
Right.
I think UNA and EKU are kind of similar caliber teams, especially both teams that I think are going to were definitely expected to be towards the top of the conference in echelon this year, kind of underperforming right now. I think because of that, I think I gotta give it to EKU here instead of Northern Kentucky, the Norse.
Right.
And then,
I
so
do that.
2-0 week for Eastern Kentucky.
I want to go there too. I really do. I just haven't. I think for me, I need to. I'm a little more conservative than Curtis is in many facets of late.
Yes.
But speaking of teams that were predicted earlier to be at the top of the conference, and I think performing that way right now.
Yes.
Right. We have Florida Gulf Coast coming off of 2 victories this past week, 91-73 at home against Chattanooga, and then a statement win on Wednesday at Samford, 77-62, a 15-point victory. In the second game, Isaiah Malone, 12-12, double-double, plus 4 blocks. He's actually now tied for the lead, the conference lead in block shots with my man Kenneth Chime. Chime time. I got to work on my call for him. But anyway, they're tied now. And Ramir Barno, 20 points in the first game against Chattanooga. He is playing with some serious confidence at the moment. Ramir is across the board. So,
and he's earned it. He's playing great basketball.
Yep. Boy, they are just lethal offensively. To me, 9 guys can create offense for themselves on this club.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna say who, but with someone that we were joking around with last week was like, "Hey, is it just JR shooting the ball?"
Right.
And no,
Exactly.
it's not. It's really this team is worked into letting everyone work across the entire board, and
Right.
I think they're gonna be deep that way for a long time. But the defensive end, even though they had a great showing against Samford,
Right.
that's one game. I
Right.
need that to happen more
Exactly.
than one game here.
That's right, for sure. Yep. Also, just a couple other offensive stats. So, second in assists in conference. So, despite or including on top of the fact that they can all score on their own, they're still dishing the ball very well.
Yes. Wait
Wait
till the offensive stats that I throw out you in a second.
Okay.
Here. Oh, you got more?
Maybe. Well,
Throw-
yeah, they're leading in field goals attempted by quite a bit. I think we said that last week. Points scored, obviously, and then and rebound differential. I was shocked to see that. More so deep differential of how many rebounds they get versus their opponents get by 10, like a big number compared to the rest of the conference.
Well, let's move into what because I want to give them. You're teasing some of my stats here that I'm talking about. Let's preview the upcoming games here. So they're gonna play in the Geico Coconut Hoops. What is that? A classic?
Coconut Hoops. I think it's just called Geico Coconut Hoops.
Well, and that's hosted
at Alico Arena in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Right, at Florida Gulf Coast's home rink. I almost said home arena.
Yeah.
So kind of 3 home
Alico.
games for them during a holiday time. So
Yes. Yeah. They're gonna be hosting Oral Roberts 2-3 right now. Rice also 2-3, and then Kennesaw State, the former A-Sun team, currently at 3-1. What do you got for a prediction for how this tournament's going to go for them?
Right, I think they're going to win the first 2, and then good. I'm really excited to see the Kennesaw State game. But I got Kennesaw coming up on top of that one. It's hard to win 3 in a row, 3 days in a row. They're 1, 2, and 3 days in a row. Kennesaw can score also.
Yeah.
But they've also had a pretty light schedule. So I was kind of like, I really want to go 3-0 Florida Gulf Coast right now, but. Let's just see 200 points and see who gets the last.
It could definitely happen. I might bet the over on that.
Whoever's got the ball last wins, kind of an NFL or football phrase when it's high scoring. Yeah, we'll go with that for that game. Right. But yeah, that's why I went 2-1.
Okay.
I think they got the first 2 no problem against Rice and Roberts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I see it differently.
Okay. Hit me.
So I also see a 2-1.
That's good.
I see a 2-1.
Yep.
But I think the loss comes in their very first game against Oral Roberts, and let me tell you why.
We got a matchup.
While FGCU is 3rd in the country in offensive rebounds at 14.3, I believe it is, and 2nd in the country in field goals attempted, obviously coming from all the generated second chance points that they're able to get.
Right.
I see Oral Roberts pulling out the W in this one. Well, why? 2 of the 3 losses that they have came when they shot less than 40% from the floor. Something that FGCU hasn't been able to do, except against the New College of Florida, which doesn't really count because they're not I mean, it does, but they're not a Division I team. Right. And Samford last game.
Right.
So, great sign for maybe coming into the future. I hope they prove me wrong and they're able to do it once again.
Right.
But considering that that's when it seems to be Oral Roberts is losing, FGCU doesn't really do that. They don't force teams to under 40% shooting per game.
Correct.
They allow teams to just shoot and shoot and shoot,
Right.
and then they outplay them on the offensive end.
I'll just go score. Yeah.
Rice, though, coming off a 91-67 loss. That's where they allowed 17 offensive rebounds a game to nationally ranked Tennessee. So got to give it some grain of salt there. FGCU is not Tennessee, but FGCU averages 18.4 is how many offensive rebounds they get per game.
They really get.
Excuse me, I said 14.3 earlier. It's 18.4 is that number. However, before that game, Rice did average less than 10 offensive rebounds per game per team that they were playing against.
Wow.
Like opponent offensive rebounds per game. So that's something maybe they're able to kind of force the pace on FGCU when it comes. If that's the case, Rice is going to take this game, but I don't see that happening. I'm going to go with the Eagles over the Owls. They're going to soar a little bit higher, just like how they can do in real life, I think. I'm not a biologist. I don't know that for a fact.
Yes, that's correct. That is fact.
But another Owls team that they're going to be playing against, Kennesaw State, 3-1, but their wins are against 2 Division I or non-Division I opponents.
Right.
Also against Florida A&M, who's 0-4. They did give up 108 to USF, who's kind of their only real test so far this season. Easy dub FGCU for me there.
Okay. There we go.
Yep.
Nice.
Moving into Jacksonville now. So recap of last week for them. They did end up going into VMI, stealing a win against the Keydets. They absolutely picked the lock and robbed them blind. 68 or 69, excuse me, to 67.
He's dad material, ladies.
No, I'm not. Then Jacksonville did end up losing to a really, really red-hot team in George Mason, the Patriots, 79-57. George Mason is currently 5-0, dominating defense, great rotation. Yeah, they're an incredible team. Jalen Jones and Chris Arias actually had a great game winner against VMI.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know you were going to say that. Yeah, watch the end of that game. I mean, Chris Arias played a great ball game in general across the board, was driving in the lane, knocking threes like crazy, and including the game winner. It wasn't desperation. He knew what he was doing, but it was a little off balance, so it looked more desperation than it was. It was just fantastic. Great timing for that bucket.
I believe it made ESPN's top 10 as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And then, so a little bit more about the play style, though. Talk to me a little bit about what Jacksonville's doing.
Well, yeah, there's times when their defense is that smothering defense. Watch Evan Sturck play what I call it, Sturck's smothering shadowing. He can shadow anybody with the ball. He's really impressive. Great athlete, smart player, very heady about when to go, when to hold back. I'd like to see him be a little more aggressive with the ball, push the paint, get fouled more. Hopefully that
he seems to be more of a pass first player.
He gets in just to kind of bounce it back out again. And I think that's part of what Jacksonville's identity is missing is attack to the hole.
Jalen Jones is great at it. I think he needs to do more of it, though.
Other than Jalen Jones, right? Yeah. There's not enough of it under control. They're still high on turnovers per game, where last year they're still high there too, despite that idea. And then one thing on defensive, although they can smother, you can see it athletically and the way they're coached. They're overplaying at times, so they're getting beat backdoor and on back cuts and stuff like that a little bit. So I think they'll make adjustments there. I just worry about their offense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think if anything, to your point right there, just now, I know they are getting up some backdoor opportunities, but if any team I think has the defensive end on lock in this league, maybe outside of the Governors, is Jacksonville here. I think those are the two teams that have proven to me that they can play solid defense night in and night out.
I'll add North Alabama, I think, too.
They're not there quite yet.
Not quite yet, but they have the potential.
Yes.
It comes to my mind right now.
Yes.
Agreed. Let's see what else. Those are my main points from what I'm seeing out of Jacksonville.
Right.
They're missing that Robert McRae. We just also did a feature on Robert McRae this week.
Yes.
He's absolutely balling out at Florida State this year. So they're missing that element of who's the guy that's just going to attack and take the ball and just run with it from an offensive. I'm going to create shots for myself, whatever it might be.
Right.
Yeah, that's a gap for him.
Absolutely. Well, so let's move into the upcoming week here. I almost said previous week, the upcoming week.
Yep.
Going on here. So what do you got for a record for them? Because they're also in the Sunshine Slam at Daytona Beach, another early season tournament here.
Exactly. 2 games, right? Their first game they're playing Bethune-Cookman. Second game is either Pacific or Stony Brook, whoever wins that game.
Yeah, losses.
Losses. They'll match up. I just predicted 2 games. I predicted 1-1. I think they're going to lose to Bethune, but I liked either Pacific or Stony Brook as a win for them. I think their defense will carry them. They're going to get some fast break opportunities in that second game, enough to get some transition type of play to help offset their half-court deficiencies. So that's why I picked them winning the second game. But Bethune-Cookman, I think, presents too much offense for them to overcome. Although I really like Jacksonville's defense, like I was talking about. I think BC's got too much firepower.
Too much firepower. Well, let me tell you why that's not a problem.
Okay, hit it.
So I'm only doing. I got 1-0. I'm not gonna predict a game that I don't know what the opponent's for. If you want to see that, let me know down in the comments. We can do something like I'll release a short later in the week when that game comes about. But for now, I'm not going to predict that. Pretty simple for me, though. Both teams played Miami earlier in the season. Jacksonville lost by a much lesser margin. Not only that, though, I got stats to back this up.
Okay.
Jacksonville forced a team like VMI, who averages 82.5 points per game, including the game that Jacksonville beat them, 67 to 65.
Right.
Bethune-Cookman also does average 82 a game, and they played against 3 opponents that average less than 70 per contest. But I'm gonna end up giving it to Jacksonville in this one because Jacksonville's already proven they can go into an opposing arena and cause a team that has a lot of offensive firepower to greatly underperform that.
Right. Gotcha. Right. There we go. That's why we predict. Predictions are so
exactly.
fun.
That's why it's fun to go back and forth.
Nice.
Moving into Lipscomb, who's 1-4. They did have a very respectable loss, 75 to 68 to Belmont just recently. Mateo Esmeralda really seems to be coming into his own.
Yeah.
Along with that, and really the whole team is. Lipscomb also won their first game ever for head coach Kevin Carroll. Awesome, 98 to 53. If you didn't see the aftermath,
the locker room celly,
oh my gosh, it was great. Like everyone's silent. He was all excited, and then he's like, "Wait a minute, what?" And then they're like,
and they went bonkers.
Yeah, they went nuts. Oh, it was awesome. Definitely go leave
good.
a like on that if you haven't gone and seen that already. Yeah. So it brings a lot of joy. I think that was his dad at the end there too. I can't tell.
Right.
I'm not sure if it was, but definitely if you know, let me know. And then. So a little bit about this play style. So last week we were concerned about this team not really having an identity.
Right.
What did you see this week?
I think I saw unity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm switching it to unity. We had 5 especially in that Belmont game. 5 players, all 5 starters scored in double digits. We didn't physically see the game, but I think I kind of like I was talking about with Bellarmine earlier. They're finding a rotation that works. I think they're starting to find their roles here better.
Yeah.
So that's why I called it unity. 16 of the 23 buckets were assisted, so that's a huge number, almost 2/3 of their baskets. And they also lead the conference in assists, assists per game, assists per basket compared to baskets made.
Yeah.
They're the best of that, so they assist. Does that make sense? I said assist way too many times.
Say apple next time.
Say apples. That's true. I could
like
say
a bushel.
A bushel of them.
Like what Robert McCray had this week.
Exactly. So that's what I'm seeing
1.
out of them. I think they're starting to find some unity to their style of play. I think I have 2 games this week. We're ready to jump into that. I'm going 1-1 on my prediction here. They're playing Western Carolina at home. I think that's gonna be a win. I think they're gonna carry that over. And surprise with an upset against a tough Western Carolina team that took down Western Carolina. Wrong game in my head. Sorry about that. But they're a tough team. The short of it is, anyways.
Western Carolina beat Stetson.
Thank you. Yes, I need to have my back.
I got you always.
And then they go to Marshall 3-1. Marshall could just light it up. From what
Yeah.
So I don't think they're gonna be able to. That's a tough game to go win at against the Thundering Herd.
So I actually have reverse. So I have 1-1, but I have reverse than you. So Western Carolina's 3-2 right now. Marshall 3-1. Why do I have them losing to Western Carolina and beating Marshall though? So UNC Asheville did just end up losing to Western Carolina, and Lipscomb, as we know, just recently lost to UNC Asheville in a tough game that could have been a win.
Right.
Definitely. And that's kind of was the game that towards, I would say, the last 10 minutes of that game, that's when Lipscomb was really finding their identity and figuring it out. And that's what carried in. So I'm cautiously marking this up as a loss for Lipscomb. I could see it being a win like you're talking about here.
Yep.
A day where they bring it all together and it's finally clicking for them.
Yep.
But Western Carolina also averages more rebounds than Lipscomb. Head coach Kevin Carroll's been very concerned about, or he's always stressed the importance of winning that rebound battle.
Right.
Against Asheville, Western Carolina out-rebounded them 38 to 23. Lipscomb only out-rebounded them 34 to 30.
Okay.
That number to me kind of shows Western Carolina is going to end up bullying Lipscomb when it comes to the rebounding category. Yeah. I got the Catamounts over Lipscomb in this one. For Marshall did only end up beating Elon 96 to 89, who just beat out 0-5 UNC Greensboro, 92-90 in overtime. UNCG has just lost 2 games to ASUN teams here this season, APSU and Queens, which I think right now as it stands are both in a higher echelon than Lipscomb's as far as ASUN teams go. However, for me, that makes it an obvious choice to give Lipscomb the W. I think that for me, just the margin of win that has been compared to in teams that have played against each other already, I think Lipscomb has the advantage here. I didn't look at that one as more of a statistical one. I looked at that more as a matchup compared to teams that they've already played against.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah. No, that's a great way to look at it as well. Yeah, I'm again with Marshall. The Lipscomb's another one of those teams, folks, that just their defensive rotations are just not there yet.
Despite having 2 bigs out on the floor.
But they're not traditional bigs. They're active outside bigs, right? They're not strong. I'm holding my ground. Not that they
interior bigs, yeah. No, they definitely are exterior bigs.
Very athletic bigs that have a different style of game.
Yeah.
So that's the concern there. So, all right. Anyways, moving on to North Alabama, who was started off another team that we have had again upper echelon, starting off record-wise 2-3. So maybe not what we were expecting. You just mentioned they lost last week to East Tennessee State.
Yes.
78.
Do you know their nickname?
No.
The Buccaneers.
Buccaneers.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So anyways, they lost 78-74. Cornelius Williams, another just ridiculous game. 28, 16, 3, 3-2, partridge in a pear tree, everything else. And then they lost on the 17th of November to Clemson, 81-61.
Had a better second half than first half.
Also had a better second half than the first half, correct.
Yep, and they outscored them 39-36 in that second half without Cornelius Williams. He did end up going down. It looked like his left or his right leg, got clipped by I think it was Kanan Jefferson that did
somebody. Yes.
Unfortunately, which no, obviously that just happens out there. No blame on Kanan at all. That's just the way basketball works.
Oh yeah. It was.
Sometimes that just happens. But tell me a little bit about why ETSU was able to come back and win this game here.
What I did, and I've seen this with North Alabama a few times where they get one-dimensional, I think, on offense, and it's a little easy to predict. They don't pass the ball as a unit. They don't move off ball much. They kind of just not stand and watch. They're so dynamic offensively. Every player, again, a lot of players on the court can score for themselves. But you get bogged down if you're doing that too much. So that's what I saw, and I think that's what East Tennessee the Buccaneers took advantage of.
Yes.
And were able to turn that game their way.
Yeah, and there also is currently, I do want to say as well, there is no update on Cornelius Williams.
Oh, right. Yeah.
At all. So there's no news on him yet so far. We were able to communicate with the North Alabama staff. We don't know currently what's going on with Neal at this time. So we don't know necessarily where that offense stands for the future here.
Right.
What'd you see when he was out?
Yeah, exactly.
Compared to when he was in.
As great as he is, he's a fantastic player and huge important spot.
My number one player in the league.
Yeah,
or in the conference.
And I'm close there as well. What I saw was kind of the team didn't go, "Oh crap, he's out. What are we gonna do?" Instead they went, everybody picked it up. Everybody picked it up. Kedar Bodie had 4 steals. The team had 15 points off of turnovers, and mostly in the second half. They did give up some offensive rebounds towards the end, and in the second half, which you could expect with Cornelius not being out there just to dominate the paint like he can do. But then on the offensive end, they spread out the floor a lot. There wasn't that clog. I don't want to call it a clog because it's not, but sometimes you can get bogged down into that one-dimensional stuff I was talking about earlier. But without having Williams out there, they just spread the floor, attacked, and a lot more one-on-one successful. They were up, they shot a lot more from 3 as well.
Right. Well, Djokovic as well. We were talking about spreading the ball. He was the kind of the spotlight for this game. 12 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals. A lot of 2s going on there. I think now he's in 5 games straight or something like that where he's scored 10 or more as well. Because he's an offensive firepower weapon.
Right.
He's really a catalyst for them on that side. But with him being the player of the game, or at least the spotlight player for us,
right?
with only 12 points. Like usually you see, as we see in the other game, 28 from Corny. Like that's
exactly.
The spread is definitely there, so it'll be interesting to see when he comes back, if that play continues to develop, or if maybe they figured something out against Clemson here.
Right.
My only thing, again, I talked about this with a supporter in our community, so go check out our community. We also post here on YouTube as well. You can come chat with us there. And I was chatting with the supporter about it. It's possible it was just a bad scalp by Clemson on everyone that wasn't Cornelius Williams, because he is so dominant.
Right.
That's what I'm looking for coming up here as they face off against Chattanooga and UT Southern, an NAIA team in the upcoming week here. What do you got for it?
I've got 2 wins.
2 wins?
Yeah.
Why?
I just so the Chattanooga game, I think we haven't found North Alabama's gear yet. And again, I'll base it on that last game, recency bias here. Without Cornelius, I think their light bulb goes off. Okay, we can play without him. How much better can we play now with him, but more in an incorporated style?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to carry over. And we don't know if he's in or not, but I just think they're good. And I don't.
Regardless of if he is or not, the light bulb went off in the second half against Clemson. There, a good ACC team.
Great. Exactly.
So actually, I can't remember.
Kind of like what we saw.
7th projected out of all 18 teams in the conference this year in the preseason. So. Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Got a few games in.
Sentiment.
They've had a bit of downtime to kind of to gather themselves and work through film. I think they're taking off. We saw that with Queens for the Thursday night game here against Greensboro. They really clicked on offense. I'm kind of expecting something similar for the Lions.
That's fair. That's fair. And that's a good comparison, because Queens was another team that was kind of figuring out their identity, figuring out where their offense comes from.
Right.
We'll get into more of that later. And then you got them beating UT Southern just by.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't really even research it. I just figured based on the.
No, I did the same. It's an NAIA team so far that hasn't been defeated. Although out of all teams, UNA was the team that came closest to losing to a non-Division I opponent. And then against Chattanooga Mocs, the Mocs just lost 91-73 to the FGCU. Right. I believe UNA, as we talked about, is kind of in that same echelon as teams, although FGCU is playing like a top-tier team in the ASUN right now. I would argue UNA maybe isn't, after having a pretty hot start last week, getting an overtime victory and everything like that.
Right.
And having a good opening week, I thought, as well, even though despite that near loss to a non-Division I opponent. The Mocs also gave up 12 offensive rebounds to FGCU, which I know FGCU's got 18.4 per game, but that's the exact amount of offensive rebounds that UNA gets a game. It's 12 offensive rebounds a game. If that ended up being the deciding factor against the Mocs here for FGCU, I see it being the same for North Florida.
It's comparable. That makes sense.
Yeah, I got a 2-0 week for North Alabama here. Another North team, North Florida. This time we're going to Jacksonville for this one. 1-3 so far on the season. They did end up getting their first win in head coach Bobby Kennan's career. Game where every Osprey scored. You might know that if you kept up with us on Instagram. That was something that I talked about in my pregame stand-up when we talked about them. They did actually just get a couple signings recently as well, so congratulations to those young men who are now joining UNF next year. 86-78 loss over Wofford. That was our feature game of the week as well. Cameron Oriole led the way in both games. 30 points, career high for him against New College. 22 points against Wofford, the Terriers. What did you think because it's so much different when we get to actually see this team, any team in person compared to what we get to see on the screen.
Right, exactly. Well, first of all, we got to give props to Cam Oriole. My gosh, that guy can ball. He's so good. The element that I was overly impressed with was his ability to drive to the hole. He was hard defended the entire game, did not quit, but he also didn't take dumb shots or forced shots, in my opinion. Most of the shots he missed were just off a little bit, like anybody. But he just kept going and going and going. Just getting the ball sometimes when you're being guarded that hard can be a problem. It did not deter him at all. But he had 3 or 4 assists, I believe, in the game as well.
Three.
So he was still moving it. If he got jammed up, he was able to gather himself, find Kent or whomever on the outside, or Mason Lee had a great second half.
Mason Lee had a very good second half as
He looked
well.
lackluster in the first, but really just like a light bulb, the light switch went on. He just was awesome the second half. Played with much more anger, if you will. He got banged a couple times too.
Well, he opened up the scoring for the game as well, though.
Right.
But yeah, there was one play where I really thought he should have gotten an and one call where he didn't at all. He got up, was holding his hip afterwards.
Right.
Definitely let us know too if you want me to kind of sprinkle in this game film as we're kind of talking about it here. If that's something you want to see, let me know. Well, I'll definitely do that for you.
Right.
Also, we kind of took away the highlight for the feature game of the week.
Right.
We did it week 1 with the Queens game, and then we didn't do it last week for EKU Vanderbilt. Let us know if that's something you'd want to see as well, if you want us to bring that element back. If not, also let us know that as well, but definitely whatever you want to see, we'll be happy to provide that for you.
Exactly.
Moving into what they got upcoming for the week here, they're playing against Southern Miss in the Pensacola Invitational, and then also in the Pensacola Invitational, the winner either UT Martin or Prairie View A&M, whoever ends up winning/losing each contest, that's who will translate into the next opponent here. What do you got?
So I'm going to call them out as 2 losses. The concern I have here, and this is what we saw watching them live even more so, is the lack of inside presence defensively is significant. Wofford did a great job. It was I believe UNF was up by 7 ish points in that game in the first half, and then Wofford just banged it inside, and just kept going at it.
Ended with 50 points in the paint.
50 points in the paint for the game, and just ran and wore the Ospreys down. And I think really all 3 teams that they're potentially facing, Southern Miss and then either UT Martin or Prairie View, have that same capability. So
to bang inside.
Yeah. They don't rely on threes to score. So
right.
That's just in a nutshell. We can always get high. Kent Jackson made 2 or 3 threes from I think past half court. He's like a field goal kicker now.
It wasn't past half court.
No,
but
I'm kidding. He's got unlimited. Point being, he's got a great range. Really comes off the screens well to hit him. So
I just need the shot to fall more consistent.
Of course,
consistent.
Exactly.
I think Kent's doing better when he's focused on moving the ball first.
Yep.
Because then his shots from deep open up because they're concerned about other scores. I think that needs to develop more as the season comes on here.
Right, and really they got 3-4 guys that are regular scorers now, and they really need 5-6.
Yeah.
To help with that point, and to get a different type of back.
Right. I do like the way that Taylor Thompson, and I like the synergy between him and BJ Plummer. That really showed in the Wofford game, and Taylor just finally got his first bucket in the previous game against New College. I thought he looked really strong in his limited minutes against Wofford here.
BJ Plummer had a nice game too.
BJ had great,
very good. I think
kind of quiet in the second half until right in the end there.
But he's on the floor a lot, doing and growing, learning. Like we were talking about with Tyler Jackson earlier, a little bit in the same vein there. Got to get on the floor and really
make your mistakes. And although he didn't make many against Wofford. For my prediction, though, so I'm doing the same thing. Not going to predict the game where I don't know what's the opponent. 0-1 is what I got for going against Southern Miss here. It's going to be a high-scoring contest. UNF's got 82.5 points per game. Southern Miss, 80.6 points per game average. However, UNF did get kind of smoked by 2 really, really, really tough SEC opponents. Ranked opponents in Florida and Tennessee. 2 of the best in the country, not just the SEC, in the country.
Right.
Southern Miss, though, lost to South Carolina, who is currently undefeated, and it was within single digits. I did see that's a glaring thing for me there. Southern Miss also 54% from inside, which, as we discovered in person, UNF really struggles to defend on the interior, although I will argue there's a couple plays that I have recorded. Dalton Gaiman did end up causing some good disruption down in the middle.
Oh, he can. Absolutely. Right.
He's been a very big saving grace for them as far as defensive interior goes on a team that really does lack any traditional big.
Size.
Arden Bagaj he's in a walking boot right now, and he's
Right.
rolling on a stroller.
Right.
Scooter. Or a scooter, yeah. Yeah, I said stroller.
could be
He
doing
is
that
rolling
too.
on a scooter.
No, Gaiman's
And-
he's just out of position for what that role is needed to do in full. He's very capable as a inside defender.
He's
but
not
he
a
can't do it
5
himself.
though. He's
not
a
five.
4.
Right.
He's a 4 for sure.
Right.
But yeah, he's being asked to step up into that role this year, and he's shown some promise in that. And I hope that he can figure out how to take advantage of that mismatch offensively as well.
Yes.
Moving forward
Right.
here.
Right.
Moving into a team that's really kind of coming into their own, that would be the Queens Royals. So they're finally back up to 500 after having a 2-0 week. They beat Sacred Heart. That was a game when Carson Schweiger stepped up huge
Yes,
off
he
the
did.
bench, 17 points for him, or Carson Schweiger. Then also they ended up just beating on Thursday night 101-94 against Greensboro. Lots of guys played great. There were 5 and over double digits.
Yeah.
Vontae Parker didn't miss a single shot that he took. He got the dog of the game. What do they call it?
I forgot what it was called. Yeah.
Yeah,
He also broke the score, the shot clock.
The shot clock
Yeah,
as well.
monster putback dunk.
Yes.
Just had to hang on the rim for safety, but yeah, he
There was actually an argument about that too, because someone on Maryland significantly injured themselves
okay.
after they came down for a slam, and that's there was an argument afterwards that this is why the hang needs to be allowed in the NCAA. Let us know if you wanna have a discussion about that at all, or what your guys' thoughts are about that. Because do you take it? I'd rather just have the celebration and the hang rather than these guys getting hurt.
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't. For me, you don't need the celebration. Just hang. Just hang there until it's clear to get out of the way.
Well, that's kind of part of the hang is the celebration.
Yeah,
But
I
anyways,
guess,
your
yes.
points about Queens.
Well, you mentioned contributions from all over. Jordan Watford first start tonight, Thursday night against UNC Greensboro. Greensboro really responded well, especially right off the bat. Just drove and dished the ball. He sees the game at a speed before it even happens. Very impressive young man. But I wanted to point out, and I think he'll help in this regard. I think Yoav is finding his boundaries where the first few games, he as kind of the point guard or playmaking guard, he was overextending a bit or going a little too fast into the paint and getting himself stuck in spots. You see him now being a little more calculated with that. It's going to make him a lot more dangerous. And I think let Jordan take over some of the general ball handling duties, and he can fill in and really becomes a really dynamic offensive player that we know he is.
Right.
And play creator as well for that. So that's one of the really big things I found for them on offense. You saw it tonight with 100 points.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that opens up, especially with Yoav being able to figure out what his playmaking style is and what his limits are and what he's really good at and what maybe he needed to work on.
Right.
Having Jordan and him now in the starting 5, which I don't think is going to happen every night, but I think it's going to happen a large majority of nights moving forward here. I think there were some things that Coach G wanted Jordan to clean up kind of before he was giving him those reins.
Right.
But that allows for an incredible dynamic of playmaking when you have Jordan who can do it from one way, and then you have Yoav, just in case Jordan's not getting it done, you can send Yoav out there. Or if Jordan's not able to find the lane, he can kick it to Yoav, let Yoav play make. Now you have 2 dynamic guys. Most guys don't even have one, or most teams don't even have one guy that's that capable. Right. They're going to now have 2 that are incredibly capable.
Exactly. And then combined with everybody that can score, you got Carson, you got
Chris.
Babon, obviously Chris. I didn't mention Chris. Nas. Gus Larson hit 2 threes, I think, tonight. It looked great. And he's also kind of, I think, defining himself into a better role that fits his skill set. Still, the strangest thing about Queens for me is the defensive end. They're so dynamic offensively, yet to me they're really, really struggling to stop dribble drive on just basic dribble drive on defense. Their help isn't quite clean. I don't know if it's commitment or purpose, or I don't think it's scheme, whatever it is. It's bizarre to watch, maybe is the best way I could think to describe it.
I would agree. They got to pick it up on the defensive interior.
Yep.
predicting going forward here, we got Queens against Furman.
One game for Queens this coming week.
Yes.
They'll practice defense the whole week.
Maybe not. Who knows? But the prediction for what you got coming.
I think, like you said at the beginning of the Queens set here, they're finding their way. I think they just keep rolling, try to stop them. I don't see that. I don't see that. And the only thing that's going to stop them is themselves.
Yes.
From an offensive perspective, Furman is not a scoring team, right? From a high scoring team, so I think that helps. Even if the whole team of Queens has an off night shooting, sure, that it could happen. But they can get it more from three. They do rely a ton on threes, by the way.
Who?
Queens does. Offense to where they're getting their points. So that's the only thing to me that would stop this. How about yourself?
For me, I just think that all the points that I'm going to make are going to sound like a Furman win. High Point smoked both Furman and Jacksonville by scores of 15s. I do think Queens is in a higher tier than Jacksonville this season. Plus, they're coming into more of their own more and more each game, kind of as we mentioned here. However, Queens has yet to face a team that averages more than 40 rebounds a game. And Furman is one of those teams at 43 and some change. I can't remember what it was exactly. Plus, the only team that did average 40 or more was Villanova, who Queens ended up losing to. However, regardless of that, I'm still going to give Queens the cautious win. As I mentioned, they're coming into their own more and more. Furman's also 2-3, having lost every game that they've played against a Division I opponent.
Right.
And I don't think any of the Division I opponents that they've played against are nearly come close to the echelon of team that Queens is.
Right.
I think that's why I'm giving it the cautious win for Queens.
Yep. It's road, and it's a road game.
Mm-hmm.
So
always tougher when you're on the road.
Of course.
The
Yes.
team that saw that firsthand this week was Stetson when they went to Western Carolina, lost 76-65 in that one. A game where I think some things were clicking for them. They started to kind of figure it out a little bit. Sean Morgan stepped up big in both games this week, as did Colin Cool. Stetson did end up getting the win at home, 64-60. Weren't able to watch that game because we were in Spartanburg, live tracking what was going on with Wofford UNF, but great to see an actual game where they provided some good defensive insurance there.
Exactly.
Where it was able to hold Howard to under 30% shooting from the floor, I believe is what it was.
Yeah, nice. Much needed in that kind of victory. We don't say that very often for a Sun, right?
Oh, 33% shooting. That's what it was.
Nice.
For Stetson.
Very good.
Yes.
And Chope had, I think, 6 and 6. So nice game on a reserve role there for Matar.
Yeah.
So
what do they got upcoming for this week, though?
Yeah, I was going to, before we go to that, just 5 games for Stetson so far. 4 times they've had different leading scorer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's a good sign of it can come from anywhere for them. And Calvin Sermons, Bobo, second in the conference in assists per game. So he's just the straw that
we were excited about him.
Yeah,
coming
he's still showing it. We talked about it last time. I think he's still showing it that he really can create in lots of different environments.
Yes. Who's first? Is it Teo?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's first by about I think 1 assist more per game.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're both dynamic. They're very, very, very good creators that we've got in came to the conference this year.
Right. Okay.
Upcoming though.
Yes. All right. So they play VMI 3-3.
Yes.
It comes to both games actually at home games for the Hatters. VMI 3-3, and then Wright State at 2-3 come in later in the week. Let's lead off with you this time.
I got them 0-2 for this upcoming week. Would you like me to give my
rip through
away?
it. Yes, I like this.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. So Stetson and Jacksonville both lost to Miami. Jacksonville did lose 86-69. Stetson 102-61. And while Stetson did show defensive prowess in that game against Howard that we just talked about, similar to FGCU from earlier, I want them to kind of prove that they can do it in more than one game before I'm really able to give them their flowers on the defensive end.
Before. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Jacksonville proved that they do have defensive capabilities. As I mentioned, they went in, stole a game in VMI to end up being held them to a very, very, very low scoring from what they're used to. Stetson obviously hasn't, outside of Howard, which Howard isn't a very high-scoring team in general. They haven't really proven that they can limit a team in the same way Jacksonville did when they stole that win against VMI. That's why I'm going to end up going with VMI for the W here in this one.
Okay.
For the win for Wright State, this one was really hard for me to decide between. Wright State has lost to Toledo, who lost to Marshall by 12, and they also, Toledo I'm talking about here, lost to Kent State by 4 in overtime.
Right.
Kent State did just wallop EKU, as I mentioned, who I think EKU is a way better team than Stetson. Yeah. However, Wright State averages more steals, assists, blocks per game compared to Stetson. It's those things away from the ball that I think are going to carry them over.
Yep.
And that's why I'm going with an 0-2 week for Stetson.
Yep.
How about you? What do you got?
So I said I'm predicting 1-1. I think for the VMI game, to me that's the loss. Because VMI scores through the 3-point line. I don't know that Stetson can defend that well enough. So that's why I picked VMI to win that game. I'm going with a win against Wright State. I want to see Stetson now evolve into, let's have 4 or 5 scorers. Get double digits. Have someone get 20, other than JR.
JR Leonard.
No, not. I'm sorry.
And Jamie Phillips.
Jamie Phillips. Sorry, drew a blank there. Other than Jamie Phillips, I think he's the only one that scored 20.
I believe you're right.
So I want to see.
There have been guys that have come close, but
right
haven't quite been able to get over 20 quite yet.
Right. So Wright State doesn't shoot threes a lot. They shoot it well, but they don't shoot threes much. So again, I think that fits the defensive end better. I just think it's time for them to click offensive end, and they're going to pull a victory out in that second game.
Nice. Now let's move into the team that has shocked me the most coming into this season. I don't know. I think you were dead on when it came to this team. 3-2 West Georgia just ended up having a 100-92 victory over the Citadel. Josh Smith with another great game, 27-3-3. Shelton Williams-Dryden also with a double-double, 22 and 11. Then also ended up winning by 2 this time in a much lower scoring contest against Tennessee Tech. Shelton Williams-Dryden, another double-double, 19 and 13, plus 2 steals in that game. Man, this guy's on fire. So, what vision did you see for this team coming into this year that you've seen throughout this season here?
Right. Well, 2 things: experience. The transfers they have in were experienced, and in a way of complementing Shelton's skill sets to take him out of that 5 role. You see with the scoring, but just even the shots and the ball distribution, other guys can score. Other guys can handle the ball. He doesn't have to do it all this year. So that was one. And the other thing was just size and the defensive end. Kenneth Chime, we talked about him. Javar Daniels.
I just thought of something for Chime, by the way.
Yes.
So his name's spelled like chime, right?
Yeah.
So what if you say that Chime's out here ringing bells?
I could do that. There you go.
There. All
right. Okay.
Anyways, so Javar Daniels.
So Javar Daniels also is blocking shots and being a physical force on the inside defensively. They're pleasing to the eye to watch play. They play with pace.
They're leading the conference in 3-point percentage at 42, which was something I did not expect for them to do.
Right, exactly. And they've got 2 guys that we thought would be contributors. And Micah Smith that we believe are injured and haven't been able to.
That we know both of them had surgery in the offseason.
Right, exactly. So I did. So down the stretch, we talk about Shelton a lot. In the second game against Tennessee Tech, Georgia, the Wolves were up 54-40, 11-0 run by Tennessee Tech to bring it within 4. There was 4-minute media timeout. The next 2 possessions went to Shelton, 4 points. Really took a lot of heat off of him, but they were deliberate. They got the ball to him. He was calm. He was collected. He got fouled, and he had a really nice bucket on a very patient offensive play. To me, that shows that experience that I'm talking about. Now, I will say this though: at the very end of the game, it almost didn't go their way. They were a little fortunate from a shot perspective. Tennessee Tech just couldn't get the ball to fall. And they did get a little sloppy at the end there. So, but I think it's a good. It was a good learning. They gritted it out. They found a way to win. And I think they're on their way.
Right. And I'm very impressed with what I saw from the redshirt freshman of Chaz Lewis in his starting role. Also, Malcolm Noel just returned as well. He was another guy that's been out for a while.
Good point.
And Noel he did see only limited time. But yeah, that's another guard that they're getting back now.
Exactly.
Too, and he's more of a smaller guard. Doesn't bring quite that size, but he brings a lot of grit to the lineup.
Yes, he does. Yep.
So previewing for what they got upcoming here, you're gonna play USC Upstate. 3-3 is what their record is, and then also gonna go on the road, go play against interstate not rival, but interstate team. Gonna be rivals after what you got upcoming for them this week. Georgia Tech. So, who's also 4-1 by the way. So. Tell me why you think that they're going to upset Georgia Tech.
Right. Oh, they are? I'm going to predict that?
Yeah.
I'm going to predict that, yeah. Georgia Tech hasn't played a hard schedule yet.
Right.
And West Georgia has played a hard schedule. They're just playing well. I'm very, very, very excited about them. I'm just going to carry that momentum and that energy behind them. It's a gut feel. It's a gut call. I think that's it. Yeah. I want to see them just deliver it here.
Okay.
It's time. It's time for one. SC Upstate. Let's not skim past SC Upstate though. They're 3-3, but they're a good defensive team.
Well, so I've got 1-1. I could see it being a 2-0 week for West Georgia. I could also see it being an 0-2 week.
Correct.
Because
I don't want it to be. So
so that's why you went 2-0. Yeah. But USC Upstate did just lose to Tennessee Tech 88-84, as we just discussed.
Right.
There was a 2-point victory for West Georgia, but when the margins are that low, it's kind of a toss-up. You can't really consider that.
Right.
So this is why I dug a little deeper. In 2 of the 3 losses that Upstate has, they allowed their opponent to shoot greater than 38% from beyond the arc.
Okay.
West Georgia shoots 42% from beyond the arc. Plus, I think that ends up being a win here. Also, I forgot to mention this. So West Georgia's had some good high-scoring games so far this year.
Yep.
But against Tennessee Tech, they had a low-scoring contest, 61-59. They proved that they could win in a gritty win in a low-scoring defensive game. I think that helps mitigate those concerns of Upstate's 68.8 opponents' points per game.
Yeah.
That's why I'm confidently giving the win to West Georgia here, but I could see it being a loss at some point, but I'm pretty confident it is a W. Now, moving into Georgia Tech. They did just lose to Georgia by 5 this week. Georgia Tech's 4-1. Georgia is 5-0 currently.
Yep.
Neither team really has had that tough of a schedule so far.
Right. Georgia
did pummel Bellarmine earlier in the season in opening. They did. It was an overpowering victory.
Yep.
I've already said I think Bellarmine's roster just in general is, or at least at the beginning of the season, I thought this and during the preseason, that they're better than West Georgia's roster on paper. Right. However, the Wolves have, as I've also previously mentioned here, as we were beginning talking about this team, they've massively proven my expectations wrong. Like they are exceeding them tremendously right now. And then also Georgia Southern did end up being beat by Georgia Tech here by 2, 68-66. That was a shootout game that they won against FGCU earlier in the year here, 95-94, I believe that final was.
For Georgia Southern, you're talking about, right?
Yeah, Georgia Southern did end up beating them.
Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah, so Georgia State's beaten
Georgia Southern, excuse me. And then Georgia Southern beat FGCU. Right. I think FGCU is probably the best team in the conference so far. Right.
My number 1 predicted for preseason, by the way. No, beyond that point, though, no. For that, I see Georgia Tech getting the win against the ASUN team once again.
Right. There you go.
We'll see what happens, though. I could see it going either way here. Georgia Tech really hasn't played that tough of an opponent so far. And this will be a big statement to really kind of figure out where West Georgia falls.
Right.
In that, I think this game will kind of, especially if they're able to beat Georgia Tech, that's when I'm like, oh, shoot. Not only was I completely wrong about West Georgia, not only was the whole entire coaches poll wrong about Western Georgia, they might be the team to beat this year if they're able to pull off that W against Georgia Tech.
Right.
Let's move into our segment, though, that's always here now that we are into the season. ACORN'S Attic.
ACORN'S Attic, yeah. Someone to talk about today about the art of communication. That's fancy. But breaking down how people communicate. I'll give you an example, like the inquiry stage of conversation or communication, where you're asking questions. Usually, for me, when I'm asking questions, I'm very in tune with the answer coming back, because you're wanting to get feedback, to learn about what's going on, or maybe learn about a fact. But then maybe the next stage of once you've learned about something is when you have that knowledge and you're imparting it to somebody else, as like a coach to a player, or even a player back to a coach. We'll relate this to basketball a bit. To me, that is the most essential element of communication, where you really need the person giving the conversation or the information out really needs to be in tune with the people that you're giving it to, as how they're receiving that information, right? Because if you're delivering a message in your head, you prepared it, I've got it all laid out, I got all my facts down in an order, I put the message out, and then whenever you're looking back for feedback, you don't really pay attention. You just expect that everybody heard it perfectly, and when it doesn't happen, then you're left to question what happened. So as you're giving that message out, that's the most important time for you to really get that feedback back from the crowd, wherever you're communicating with, as if they really understood it. It might not be right away, but you got to do that. Get that feedback at some point. Give them time to absorb, or if it's to a group, maybe you look at someone that you really trust more than others, or you've connected with more in the past,
right? To
do that and say, hey, what do you think? Or maybe bounce it off the other ones too. But that's just it. I just wanted to throw that out there. Maybe throw that into some practice for yourself. In the next couple days here, next few days, and see if that awakens your senses to how you are perceived by others. Yeah. That's vital to understanding yourself.
That's something we teased a little bit when we talked with Dakota Rivers earlier in the week here, which we got an interview with him that's going to be releasing a little bit later. For that, we'll leave a link to that down in the description as well, a little later today. That's going to drop as well. I've got 3 Bible verses this week, though, that actually pertain to what we're talking about here, so I'll pull them up here and you can look at them. First one's Proverbs 18:13. So, to answer before listening, that is folly and shame. Another one that kind of relates to this topic here. Another one from Proverbs. I love Proverbs so much. There's so much wisdom in that book. 15:28. The heart of the righteous weighs its answers, but the mouth of the wicked gushes evil. And then the final one here, James 1:19. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. I think those are really, really 3 powerful verses that really kind of hit the core of what you're talking about here tonight when it comes to making sure when you speak, don't just speak and expect that to be done, because people, I myself can, when something's not understood, basically my first instinct is get angry. Why didn't you understand what I told you? It makes so much sense to me. Why don't you understand it? So really just taking that step back and learning, hey, why didn't you understand what I was telling you? Maybe that's the proper question to be asking.
Exactly. And I was going to add, too, that just in our father-son and then adult relationship as it's grown, you've always been very, in a good way, vocal back to me when the message wasn't received the way you thought, that I thought. You were very perceptive of knowing that, hey, I delivered a message to you, but it wasn't, you didn't like.
I didn't pick up on it.
You didn't pick up on it, or
I didn't like the way it was delivered.
The way it was delivered, and it gave me that feedback.
Yeah.
And
I've done a lot of learning about how to receive stuff that I'm not happy with. You've done a lot of justice for me when it comes to that. But that's gonna wrap it up here for this episode of Acker Basketball. Let us know what you thought of the more in-depth breakdowns when it comes to the predictions upcoming here. I certainly enjoyed doing it a lot more. I feel like I provided a lot more insight, and definitely hope that you feel the same way, but let us know whatever you want us to go with. We'll do that. Be sure to let us know down in the comments below. Be sure to send this to everyone that you know that would be a fan of the ASUN Sports Talk that we are talking about here. It really help us out a lot. Make sure to drop a like as well. That really helps us out a lot. That is free. If you're new here, please subscribe. We're also available on Instagram, X. Along with that, we are on Threads and Facebook. It's Acker at AT instead of the @ symbol like we have in our logo, B-ball. So make sure to check us out on all those channels there, or at least continue to release content for you guys, hoping that you're going to continue to enjoy it, which we've seen some significant results in these past few weeks here. So keep spreading the word. We're very grateful for everything that you guys have done for us so far. Thanks for sticking with us all this time. And until next time, take care.
Plus, it's very fun.
Yes,
Thanks,
very
everybody.
much so.